Your fupa might be a fibroid, especially if you've tried everything. So I'll give you a little bit of information about fibroids and what I've learned so far. And also, this is my fibroid. Her name is Fifi. She's a big one. We want to get rid of her. She's like 12 centimeters by 11, so she's like big. Okay, so first I'll give you like some information about fibroids. So fibroids are tumors that grow in or out or around of the uterus, and they're not cancerous, and they don't really do much. But what they could cause you to have excessive bleeding, or they could also be very painful for some women. And because sometimes they do cause you to have excessive bleeding, it means that you're losing lots of blood, so then your hemoglobin level is going to be really low, and it also means that you're going to be iron deficient, and then anemic, and then also iron deficient. Prolonged menstrual periods, like having like a really long period or inconsistent periods sometimes, having pelvic pain or pressure, having frequent urination or difficulty emptying the bladder. So this is because just depending on the position of the fibroid, it could be pressing against bladder. Sometimes it could also cause constipation if it's, just depending on the area or where it is. It could also cause backache or leg pains. I guess backache depending on how big they are, because I would imagine it's like just carrying a baby, for example, depending on how heavy or how big they are, and they can grow very big. So fibroids could grow to the size of a basketball. I don't know what the biggest recorded size is, but that's just from the information I've gathered here and there. And who's most likely to be affected by fibroids? So research has shown that mostly it is African women or African American women. They haven't found a correlation as to why that is, but that's just who's predominantly being affected by fibroids. Another thing is that fibroids mostly affect women, or they begin to affect women, or they begin to like really grow from like ages. I say like late 20s is when it's something that begins. They don't know what the cause is for fibroids. They still don't know what the reason is for fibroids, why women develop them. There's no known causation, and so there's not really anything that you can do to prevent it. But I think from the research that I have done so far, it shows that I found a correlation between being vitamin D deficient and having fibroids, and also having high estrogen. So if you have high estrogen, you're most likely going to develop fibroids. I think because vitamin D deficient, this is just my thoughts, this is not scientific, but because being vitamin D deficient is most likely going to affect Black people because we have more melanin, I think that's just like, I think that's the link. It's like, I think that's why perhaps it affects more Black people, because we're more likely going to develop vitamin D deficiency in case we don't get enough sunlight. So go to the sun, it's free. So in terms of my story specifically, I've always liked sports, I've always liked working out, but I was like, I think 20, like after, after the Rona, everyone was like, yeah, we need to, get back to the gym, work out, everything. So I was like, yeah, I need to become fit again. So I was like, really going to the gym really hard, like every single day, 5 times a week. I would wake up really early in the morning. By 5:30, I'm in the gym, I'm working out. I even got a personal trainer, and I was like doing it consistently for a year. And I was also eating very healthy. But so I got like physically fit, like push-ups, pull-ups, everything, like planks, name it, I could do it all. So I was like physically fit, but then my stomach just would not reduce in size. She was just there. She was just big, and I'm like, why is my stomach like, I'm like doing all of these diets, like not eating this, not eating that, like cutting this from my food, cutting that from my food. She's still there. She's just there. I'm just like, what is going on? What is happening? I'm like, there's days where I'm doing like all of these like fastings and everything, and she's just there. She wouldn't budge, like 34 inches. I'm just like stuck. So then it came to 2023, and I was like, I'm done waking up so early to go to the gym. I'm tired. This is exhausting. I'm not seeing any progress with my waist. I want to fire a waist. I want to wear a crop top. I mean, now I'm just like, what? I have the fibroids. I will wear it's not that cropped, but I'm like, I'll just wear my, if somebody looks at my stomach, it's like, ugh, that's a you problem, sir. I will enjoy I'm eating my hair. I will enjoy my crop top. For 2023, I was just tired. You know how you can like do something for so long and be so consistent? And so, I mean, like physically, I felt like it really good going to the gym, but then because I wasn't seeing any progress with what I really wanted to see progress in, I was feeling mentally drained and mentally tired. So I was like, I'm just going to take a break for a month. Maybe I'll skip the first month and then second month. And I was like, third month, sixth month. And I was just like, yeah, I don't want to go to the gym anymore. So I didn't go. Whole of 2023, I just did not go. January of this year, I was like, I mean, November and everything, I was like trying to just like pull myself out of like a mental hole. So I was like, you know what, I should like slowly start taking steps into going back into the gym. So January I started going, to the gym again, and I'm still going to the gym. But I also decided to take like a full body health test. I think I made a video about that previously, like actually previous vlog, a full body health test. And I was like, I'm gonna go do it, see if everything's okay. I'm gonna get a pap smear, I'm gonna do all of this. I just want to be healthy, be full, be free. So anyway, so I get the test done and the results come back, and so the results showed that I'm vitamin D deficient, and then I also have low iron, very low iron, and then I also have a hemoglobin level of 8, and a regular hemoglobin level should be 12. So like my hemoglobin is like very low at 8, which just means I just don't have enough blood, or I don't have enough oxygen in my blood. I don't know who hemoglobin is and why I don't have it, but I just don't have enough of it. Okay, so that I don't have enough of that. And then also, so like those three things, and there's like a correlation between those three things, but I didn't know that those three things have a correlation with the fibroids. I just thought, because women in my family have fibroids, so I just thought, oh, I probably have them as well, but I didn't know what size they were, but I just knew I have them. But I was like, I know that they're there, and I'm like, they're not like physically affecting me. So I was just like, it's something that's there, but it's not doing much to me. So I'm like, I was just like nonchalant about it. The results come back, and those are my results. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should go see a gyno, just to, maybe I can get like a scan and they can just see how big my fibroids are. So 2 days ago, I went to a gynecologist. So she said I should get a scan. So I got a scan. Here are the photos, here are the videos. Also, getting these photos and videos, I asked the guy, I was like, can I please take a picture? I'm like, can I please take like while doing it, before I started doing it, I was like, can I take a video? He was like, no. And I was like, okay. He's like, put everything over there. And I was like, okay. And then he was doing it, and then I was like, I want to get a video of this. I'm looking at I've never seen the inside of my womb before. This is so cool. And also I'm looking at these like gigantic tumors inside. I'm like, I want pictures of those. So then after I asked him, like, after he was done, I was like, can I get a picture of this? Because he wasn't going to print one and give it to me, because it's not a baby, it's a tumor. It's like, could you please like print my tumor? No. So I was like, I'll just take one with my phone of the screen. And he says to me, he's like, there's women outside there waiting with full bladders and you want to take a picture? I was like, oops. But I mean, to be fair, like this is a paid service. Also I was the last in line. There was nobody else behind me, but he wasn't the nicest. Okay, so anyway, so I go back to the gyno after the scan, and so we're looking at the sizes. I actually have the paper here with the sizes. So I've got one that's like 12, the biggest one being 11.17 by 12.47. So yeah, we can just say 11 by 12.5. And then the others, there's one that's 4 centimeters by 3 centimeters, and then the others there's one that's like long, it's like 2 by 4. Ugh. Why isn't it just like perfectly round? And then there's another one that's like 2 by 2. So I'm like, okay, there's the 4 of you, So Fifi and friends are just chilling in my womb, in my stomach, taking up space. So anyway, so the doctor explains to me that she said I've got 2 options. She said I could either get a laparoscopy. I don't know if I'm saying the words right. I just learned these words 2 days ago, okay? And I've just done like some research about it. So she said I could either get a laparoscopy, I think is the word, laparoscopy, or I could get a myectomy. And so a myectomy is where they cut you open like they're doing a C-section. Oh God, sorry, I'm being very like graphic, but I mean, like, we cut you open like they would do a C-section, and then they just take out the stuff. But then what she said was like, okay, but you have to consent that in case they start to do the procedure and then you bleed too much, we'll just have to take out the whole uterus. And I was like, sorry, what now? So I'm like, I don't want that. No, I don't. No, I do not want early menopause. And also I'm like, I'm still young, you know. For now I'm like, I do not want offspring, I do not want kids. But I'm like, what if I change my mind like 5 years from now? Like, I would like to be able to have that choice. You know, like, look at these genes, look at this personality. What if I want to sell my eggs? Like, there's so many possibilities. And also, just even if it's not like for the purpose of like repopulation, is that the word? What do they say? Go out and fill the world. You know, it's in the Bible. Go out and procreate and fill the world. You know, it's like, what if even if I don't want to, you know, follow filling the world, what if I just don't want early menopause? Because like menopause, I haven't like, because you know menopause is far like mentally when you think about like the age, but menopause does not sound great. It's another suffering that all women have to go through. We should pay less taxes just for being women. No, seriously, we should pay less taxes for being women, because we do a lot, we experience a lot. So for that one, they make like I think 4 different small incisions, like very small cuts, and then they put in tiny robots, and so then a camera, and then with tiny robots, and then the robot and then they can see, like they make like a 3D image on screen, and then the person operating is able to like have like a 3D image of your womb, and then they can just like make like little tiny cuts, like with the little clippers inside and with all the tools that they put inside. But apparently it's a procedure, because I guess it's with tiny robots and everything, it's a procedure that's not every doctor is very good at doing it. So this is what she said to me. She said to me that like a lot of doctors, you would go in for a laparoscopy, but a lot of the times the doctors will just change it to a myectomy. And then even still during the decision, when they do just change it to a myectomy because they're like, oh, this is too difficult, we can't do this, they could then again just take out your uterus. And she's like, it's something that you just have to consent to before getting the operation done. So that's what she said to me. She didn't explain like how they do the procedure. She just explained that she just said there's this procedure and there's that procedure. Either way, she was like, but either way, you just have to consent that we can take out your uterus. Like, she really emphasized on that. And I was just like, girl. So anyway, so she gave me those 2 options, because she said that because of the size of my fibroids, I can't have the laparoscopy. I just have to have the myectomy. So then I asked her, I'm like, is there a medicine that I can take that can shrink the fibroids so that I can just have a laparoscopy, because it just sounds like less invasive. And apparently a mastectomy takes about like the healing period is like 6 weeks or so. It's just like having a C-section, except they're not taking out a baby, they're taking out a tumor. So so she was like, yeah, there is one. But I was like, why didn't you mention this before? So she's like, yeah, there is one that you can get like an injection, and then we can check after 3. It started with a G, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but you take it, and then after 3 months, and then they check what the process is. Okay, so that's what she said, and I was like, okay, cool. And then she gave me a prescription. So she gave me a prescription for medicine, because I told her I was taking iron tablets. So she gave me a prescription for medicine that is supposed to quickly increase my hemoglobin, like it's just supposed to give me lots of blood. And then she gave me another medicine that I'm supposed to take, that during my period I should not, I don't lose so much blood. And then after doing some research, I discovered that sometimes women have such heavy periods that is it called hemorrhaging? Yes, they're having a hemorrhage. Like it's so heavy that like they're literally just like really having a heavy period. And for the first 2 days of my period, it's heavy. I'm like, don't ask me to leave the house. I will be like, I don't know. It's like, if my worst nightmare is always like if I have to fly on the first few days of my period. It's like, that's like my worst. It's like a punishment. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to fly. I just, because it's very heavy flow. TMI, but that's just it. Give me a wee second. Sip some tea. Mint tea. Okay, so yes. So the doctor only discussed with me, the different methods in which they can cut me open, and that was pretty much it. Now, the research that I did after I'd done some research before about fibroids, because I knew the women in my family they get fibroids, so I just knew that this was something that was inevitable. So even when I found out how big my fibroid was, I wasn't like, it's sad, I wasn't devastated. And I know this is information that somebody else could find out, and it can be very devastating and very sad, because you're very confused and you don't know what's going on. But I think for me, I was just like, okay. And then because I taken a picture of the screen, I used it as the perfect opportunity to prank my best friend. Oh my god, I just sent her a picture and I was like, meet Fifi. And then my phone had, she hadn't responded for a while, but then also my phone had died. So then I also, I didn't know what her response was until I got home. And she was like, what's going on? Oh my god, you have a baby. She's like, I'm smiling. I'm like, no, it's not a baby, it's a fibroid. I could not have missed that chance to prank her. But anyway, so she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But I was like, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, so then we just started looking at the images that I took. And then I was like, oh my God, there's a face on my fibroid. There's a face. And then I was like, there's a face. And it looks like somebody's kneeling, crouching, and just holding their knees. And then so we were just making all of these funny images. And we saw another face that was somebody next to the other face. And it would look like somebody was wearing headphones. So it was just oh my God, there's two people just chilling in my stomach. Also, I will just start off by saying that before I went to the gynecologist's office, had gone with the mindset of where I was just I'm tired this year, I want to work out, but I want to not have the fibroids, because I'm I want to comfortably wear a crop top without having people look at me weird, or I want to go to the beach without having people look at me weird, or I want to drink a glass of wine without having people look at me weird, because you're drinking a glass of wine with a big belly, people are like, is she, oh my, it's why is that pregnant lady drinking? I was like, why is that pregnant lady partying? I was like, why is that pregnant lady dressed like that? All of these questions. It's mind your own business, mind your business. So I just want to be comfortable doing these things. So I had gone with the mindset of first, I'm like, we need to figure out how we're going to get these things out of me. But then after figuring out that the two options they gave me was just I'm like, no. So management of the fibroids depends on several factors. There's the severity of the symptoms, there's the size and location, there's your age and whether you plan to have children or not. So something that I learned about, so apparently women that have fibroids often have difficult time conceiving, or they have lots of miscarriages because the fibroid could be taking away from the space that the baby needs. I guess it just, size-wise, it just makes sense that it's taking away the space, or also because of the fibroid, it's just feeding off the energy or the food or the nutrients that's supposed to be going to the baby. The fibroid is just mine. I shouldn't have been so graphic, but it's just it's just doing that, or just your overall health in general. In my case, whereby I think I developed anemia and iron deficiency because of the fibroids. It's just I don't know why it's you can just be there. Why must you make me bleed so much? It's if you want to chill, then just chill, but just leave me alone. Okay, so the different forms of treatment that I found after doing some research. So I've just written this down just so I don't get anything wrong. Also note, I am not a doctor. Oh my God, don't you dare quote me. I will deny it. Okay, I will deny it. During biology class, I was just good at the drawings. Okay, I could not memorize all of those things. Semiosis, mitosis. No. This is just research, okay? And I'm just trying to summarize all the information into one video, just in the hopes that it could help someone. Because to get this information, I had to go here, read here. I was just isn't there anybody just explaining all of this at once? One method is something called GNRH, and that is, the word is guys. Let's just call it, that's a word. I'm also slightly dyslexic. That's a word that I will not be reading today. That word. So these drugs can temporarily shrink fibroids by blocking the production of estrogen, progesterone, putting you in a post-menopausal state. Okay, so something that I also found out during research is that a huge contributor to having the fibroids is just having lots of estrogen. I personally haven't gone for a hormonal, test, like to see what my hormone levels are. But I mean, it just makes sense that because, just tumors are mostly caused by having lots of estrogen. So it just would make sense. But I found it interesting that, the doctor never mentioned to me anything that she would recommend. She was just like, we're going to cut you up, girl. We're going to cut you up. So that was a bit upsetting. So I think I'll definitely have to, figure out if I'm going to go talk to a nutritionist or, go to a doctor what's a hormonal doctor called? I don't know, but somebody that is a professional in hormones, I'm going to go talk to that person and figure that out and, get that information. So the medicine, the GNRH medicine, is something that puts you into a postmenopausal state, which means you're not producing as much estrogen. But the side effects of that medicine is that it's temporary, and it's something, I think that's what the doctor mentioned. It's like for perhaps 3 months or so, and you can't take it for a long period of time, and it's not a cure, even though it might shrink the fibroids, might being the key word, because it also causes bone loss. It's like, great, perfect. Why is that even a drug? But anyway, so apparently it's a medicine that you can take, or that they often give to patients to take before performing the surgery, like a few months before performing the surgery. That is something that they do give to women. Okay. The other medicine, or the other option that is out there, is having an IUD. So while it doesn't shrink the fibroids or make them disappear, it can relieve the heavy bleeding. And I didn't know this, so I'm like curious, are there people, I don't know, because I don't have an IUD, but I'm wondering if people who have IUDs and they have fibroids, do they bleed less? But that's just one of the options. But the thing is, having an IUD is not necessarily always an option, because you could have a fibroid inside your uterus, and that means that they are not able to then place the IUD. So it's not like that's the perfect option. The other option is, this is just medication that they could give you. So the other option is having tranexamic acid. I will put these things on screen because I know I'm butchering these words. So this is a non-hormonal medication. It's usually just taken so you're supposed to take it during your period, because then it reduces how much blood loss you have, or how much blood loss you experience during your period. So it's just something that's supposed to help you manage with the heavy bleeding, especially, I guess, during the days when you have a very heavy flow. It was prescribed to me, but I haven't yet got one. I don't know why. I've been to a few pharmacies and none of them have them. Okay, I was midway through editing when I realized my memory card had not saved some of the details, so now it's nighttime. But anyway, we move on. So another form of medication that people take is oral contraceptives, and this is usually just to help battle or help control the menstrual bleeding, but this is not a treatment for fibroids, and some studies did suggest that taking oral contraceptives was a causation of fibroids. So, some articles said, it's fine to take contraceptives. Some articles said it's not fine, that this is the cause. So, So another form of treatment is the uterine fibroid embolization, the UFE. And this is a treatment that's non-invasive. Small particles are injected into the arteries, supplying the uterus, cutting off the blood flow to the fibroids, causing the fibroids to shrink and die. So this procedure is usually prescribed to women who suffer from heavy bleeding and are not planning to have children. But after doing some research on this procedure, it is said that sometimes the procedure can have effects perhaps after a year or so. And also this procedure is done because they either do it through your wrist or through your thigh. So the healing process is quick and it's fast, because it's basically they just inject these tiny little balls and they go to the fibroids and they cut off the blood supply. But I guess because this is a very tiny process, there are some complications that could arise from them, so they're still doing some research on this procedure. Another option is an MRI guided focus ultrasound. So This is a non-invasive outpatient procedure that uses high-intensity ultrasound waves to destroy the fibroid tissue. But again, with this option, I forgot to mention with the UFE, it's also something that is done for women who are not expecting to have children, who don't want to have children, or they're done with, the population of the earth. So the MRI guided focused ultrasound surgery is a non-invasive outpatient procedure that uses high-intensity ultrasound waves to destroy the fibroid tissue. This method allows precise targeting of fibroids without damaging the surrounding uterine tissue. But also, again, this method is usually prescribed for women who are done with their childbearing years. And then there's another method called the endometrial ablation. This process destroys the lining of the uterus, the endometrium, and is effective in reducing menstrual bleeding. However, it is not suitable for women with large fibroids or those who wish to have children in the future. Then, of course, we have the mastectomy, which I think described several times. But the mastectomy is whereby they cut you open like it was a C-section, and they will then take out the fibroids. This is usually the method that is used for larger fibroids, and they'll take out the fibroids and then stitch you up. But with most of these procedures, something that I've learned from research is that a lot of times the fibroids do come back after a few years. So even if you do choose to have a mastectomy, it is something that you might have to have repeated perhaps after 3 to 5 years, depending on your body. Yeah, and then the laparoscopy that we also discussed earlier, whereby they just cut tiny incisions and then insert a camera and, just like cut off the fibroids through that method. And the other method, which sounded to be a little bit more promising, was the laparoscopic radiofrequency ablation, or sometimes it's given the name ASESA. This technique offers a less invasive alternative to traditional surgery while preserving the uterus, making it a suitable option for a woman who wishes to maintain fertility or avoid a hysterectomy. So it's a great option for somebody who wants to avoid a hysterectomy. And a hysterectomy, I've been speaking about it quite a bit, is just where they just take out everything. So how it works. During the Lap-RFA procedure, the surgeon makes a small incision in the abdomen to insert a laparoscopic and other instruments. Using ultrasound guidance, the surgeon locates the fibroids and inserts a needle-like device into each fibroid. I actually watched a video of how they do this. I'll link the videos of the different procedures that I found, because I found, and not they're not going to be graphic images. They'll be 3D looking images, so it's not like gory, because I find sometimes also just researching all of this information and looking through all of this stuff, it can be very mentally just draining. So I found it better for me personally to just look at 3D graphic images, 3D images. Yeah. And it was really cool watching them explain this procedure online when I found it on YouTube, is because when they're doing it, they physically just the surgeon is doing it and they're watching the fibroid just shrink, so they can see it disappear and see it shrink. And I was like, why didn't my gyno explain? I mean, she's not my gyno, but I'm like, why didn't the gyno tell me this as an option? It's like, she really wanted to just cut me open. While Lap-RFA is still fertility sparing, its impact on future fertility and pregnancy outcomes is still under research, because this is a method that I think it's not a method that's been there for a long time. It's a very recent method, so they're still not sure of what the long-term effects are, I guess, because they're putting something in you and then burning it. So they're not sure what it could be. And then effectiveness. The effectiveness of the Lap-RFA can depend on the size and the number and location of the fibroids. It may not be suitable for all types of fibroids, I guess, just dependent on the location. Long-term outcomes, it is a relatively new procedure. Long-term data on the effectiveness of the procedure and the reoccurrence rates of the fibroids after LAPRA is still being gathered. So it's a very new procedure. Yeah, so those are the different methods. They all seem to be very oh, you can get this, but then we're not sure what's going to happen. It's like, oh, you can do this, but then, oh, this is going to happen. It's like, oh, you can do this, but you're infertile. You can do that. But like, they all seem to end up with the downside being possible infertility. Like, none of them are sure. And after doing lots of research, something else that I discovered is people who probably have had myectomies, or sometimes the regular laparoscopy, is that fibroids do come back. So even if you do have a myectomy, sometimes fibroids do grow back, and then after about 5 years or 3 years, you need to get another surgery. And if you're having a myectomy done, I guess the downside is, like, just the strength of the uterus in itself. So, like, if you're having to get the surgery done after every 5 years or 3 years or so, it's like, how much surgery can your uterus take? So I guess after a while, perhaps the doctors will just, propose just having a that word is difficult, a hysterectomy. The doctors will just probably prescribe, you should just get a hysterectomy, just, so you don't have to return to the table over and over. But because all of these procedures and all of these recommendations and everything, they're all not like a 100% sure guarantee, and they're all like, oh, you can do this, but then this might happen, you can do this, but that might happen. A lot of women choose to try alternative medicine. So that could be like changing diets, changing lifestyle, or just trying different things. I think I saw a lot about people putting like castor oil on their wombs, on the outside of their wombs, on their belly buttons, and I saw this one girl explaining how she stopped drinking coffee because coffee changes your hormones, and now she only has matcha, and she's really obsessed with coffee, but then having matcha tea has made it better for her. Or even mint tea can be super helpful. I saw lots of people also explaining how they were able to shrink their fibroids by doing keto or by doing a full-on vegan diet. And then also, why a lot of people chose to do perhaps a vegan diet is because people were explaining how, and I guess you can also watch this in the film Cowspiracy. This is why I became vegetarian, not vegan, but I watched the film Cowspiracy. Yeah, I'm that basic. One film and I'm like, yeah, I'm done with meat. But even in the film, they're explaining how, and I guess in lots of films or lots of all of these, like, I don't know if I want to call it vegan propaganda or vegetarian propaganda. I don't know. But in a lot of these like documentaries and films and everything, they always explain how milk is really bad for you because like milk is supposed to is meant for a baby cow, and it's supposed to grow like a little cow into a big cow, a calf, little cow. But anyway, the hormones in milk are supposed to grow a cow from like ant to like really big. So it's like you as a human taking those hormones from the cow is just making you have like weird growths in your body, and that could be a reason for all of these growths. But I mean, I don't know 100%, and like all of this information is just like all over the place, and it's so difficult to know who to trust, especially when like doing research, because like I could probably search is mint good for your eyes, and research would come up saying how excellent mint is for your eyes, even though it might not be, or I don't know, you can find whatever it is that you want to believe. I think what I'm going to do for now, because I still haven't made up my mind on what procedure I want to go for, I'm just going to try and do like all of these diets and all of these like alternative medicines and see how it goes. And considering I do have like I just keep eating my hair. Considering I do have images and sizes of my current fibroids, I can perhaps check after 6 months and see, what has the progress been? Have they shrunk? Are they bigger? Are they smaller? And like all of that stuff. So I will be doing all of that and sharing the progress. Hopefully there's some sort of progress. I tried to watch a lot of people's channels and a lot of people explaining it, and they were like, yeah, and people in the comments were like, yeah, I switched to a vegan diet and my fibroids shrunk, or I did keto and they shrunk, or I did fasting, and like people were just giving like all sorts of information and all of that. So I don't know, and I wouldn't know until I try. So I'm just gonna experiment on myself, because also it's not something that affects me so much. Like just having it, I'm like, okay, for 2 days it like ruins my life for 2 days in a month, and then the rest of the month I'm completely fine. So I'm like, if I can experiment and see what it is that's like making me feel better, what it is that's helping it shrink it, or is it just the combined effectiveness of everything, then yeah, hopefully it can help somebody else. So generally just speaking, I think because, fibroids is not something that we can control, it's just something that happens. I think we can just make, slight small improvements that can help us, lifestyle choices, working out, and I guess trying to eat healthy as much as possible. And also, most importantly, just trying not to be stressed, or trying not to be stressed about it, because also stress is just like something that aggravates like the tension in our bodies, and it just like it can be expelled in various ways. So just trying to manage stress, and just trying to be happy, I guess, meditation, and also sleep. I think sleep is also very important. So these are also things like lifestyle changes I'll try and improve in my own life, and just see what it's gonna do. I'm pretty sure people like left like halfway, but if you've stuck it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. And if you are somebody that's going through fibroids, I would definitely recommend going to a doctor, and then also going to a nutritionist, because maybe a nutritionist can help. I'm also, before I begin all of my like vegan, keto, tofu, all of these weird diets, I will definitely first go to a nutritionist, so I can just find out, what can my body take, what can my body not take, and then I'll also find out if I also want to do like an allergen test. I don't know if you can, like, just to find out like if I'm allergic to any of these things. But I think definitely if I have to do a vegan test, like letting go of cheese, oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I will have to try.